Benny F. Benny, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself, please, for Dr. David Katz. Hi, Benny.
Thank you so much. Great presentation, Doctor. And just a quick comment before my questions. I think the practical problem is most restaurants and most supermarkets everywhere sell overly cooked, overly killed, and overly chemicaled food. So it's hard to find it healthy. So my three questions are your comments on raw versus cooked, your comments on detoxing, especially colon cleansing, and you have a comment on supplements.
All right, well, thank you for the kind words, Benny. Raw versus cooked, detoxing and supplements. On the first topic, it depends. And, just to reaffirm my position, it would be dogmatic to say one of these is always better. I'll give you a quick example. So chances are this audience, most of you have heard of lycopene. It's a carotenoid nutrient. It's what makes tomatoes red. And you may have heard that it's particularly good for the prostate. Actually, those studies didn't particularly pan out, but it's a potent antioxidant. It's a very useful nutrient. It's important whether or not it single-handedly prevents prostate cancer. Well, lycopene is a fat-soluble nutrient. And the levels available for human metabolism are much, much higher when tomatoes are cooked together with, say, olive oil than when tomatoes are eaten raw. So, you would like to think that if one of these is always better, then it means better access to all the important nutrients. This is just one example. There are many, many others. But just to make the point that, in the case of bioavailability of lycopene, actually cooking is better. There may be some other nutrients in tomatoes that are harmed by cooking. And this is true across an expanse of foods. And then there are other issues such as the safety of food. Of course, for people who are vegan, the option of eating raw is far greater because there are much more alarming health concerns with animal foods related to bacterial transmission and so forth. But I mentioned, I think the plant paradox is a misleading and silly book. And, it's basically steering people away from all of the foods we know to be best for health. But, if you're only willing to eat raw, it's going to be really hard to eat a wide variety of beans and lentils. And the simple fact is that the high concentrations of some compounds, including lectins in raw beans and lentils, makes them extremely unpleasant to digest, if not potentially toxic. It's moot because they're always eaten cooked. They're always eaten cooked in the blue zones. They've always been eaten cooked traditionally. So I would argue against dogma on that topic. Some foods are more nutritious cooked. Some foods are more nutritious raw. And we have better access to a wide variety of the foods most robustly associated with good human health outcomes if we're willing to do both. So I don't have a strong opinion that you should always do one. I have a strong opinion that you should renounce dogma. And so, I think your diet overall is likely to be far better if you allow for cooking. It's going to be very hard to eat lentils if you don't cook, and probably a bad idea to eat them raw. I think lentils are a fantastic food. And by the way, cooking is an extremely native activity. I mean, we've been doing this presumably since Homo erectus. That's when fire was first tamed. That's a couple million years. That's a very long, when you consider that all of modern civilization is only 15,000 years old, the fact that our kind of animal has been cooking for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, it's very native to us. So I favor a mix of the two. In terms of detoxing, I've always been of the opinion that the body is more adept at this than anything we come up with. The body is richly endowed with detox organs. Your liver is an astoundingly sophisticated detox organ. Your spleen is a detox organ. Your gastrointestinal system overall is a detox organ. Your lungs are a detox organ, and on it goes. Take good care of them, and they will take care of you. All the other arguments for different approaches to detox are usually, forgive me, more about somebody selling something. So, whether it's colonic cleanses or now, if we're talking about spiritual purification, so you're going to go on, some kind of a fast or a retreat, and it's a detox, you're basically going to get out of your life for a while so you can focus, and it's going to involve a juice cleanse. I don't really object because, essentially what you're doing, you you know how periodically when enough has gone wrong with your computer, there's only one remedy. You just have to reboot it. You don't know exactly what's wrong, but if you turn it off and turn it back on, some of that stuff gets fixed. Maybe we're a bit like that too, right? I mean, we tend to accumulate the lint of arduous living, and a detox may be an important psychological window, a departure. Conjoining that to things you do, and maybe, if you're routinely eating badly, the idea that you can reboot that by going on some sort of a fast or a cleanser. I'm okay with that too. The idea that if you eat well and take care of yourself every day, that you need to do something specific to detox yourself, or that's likely to work, generally not true. So that, at the level of the general population. If, however, you have a particular toxic exposure, lead, mercury, there are detoxes done in medicine where we use chelating agents that can soak up heavy metals, for example. That won't happen without a specific intervention. So again, this may frustrate you, but this is what you get from me because I'm committed to anti-dogma. It depends. By and large, though, the kinds of cleanses that people get into, the detoxes that people think about, I oppose. I say take good care of your vital organs. They are magnificently designed to detox the body. You take good care of them, they will take good care of you. We cannot hope to rival their capacity to detox us. So feed them well, nurture them, exercise them well, hydrate them well. They'll do the rest. And then on the issue of supplements, actually, it ties into what we do at Diet ID. I think the word is really important and neglected. The word supplement implies supplemental to something. What's the something? The something obviously is the nutrients you get from food. But how many people know that? Because diet's never assessed. Hardly anyone knows what their nutrient intake level from diet is. One of our clients at Diet ID is a large nutrient supplement maker where we said, we can together personalize and make sense out of nutrient supplement recommendations. It's not just here, take everything we sell, but here are the nutrients you're getting from your diet. Here where there are gaps. Now you can fix those gaps by eating better, but in the meantime, these are the supplements that make sense for you. I think that's the way to go. With my patients over the years, I always got a history about their diet and lifestyle before offering any advice about supplements. I think some people take too few because they have gaps in their diets, and supplements can be very helpful. Many people take way too many, including nutrients that are unlikely to do them any good. So I think we can have a much more judicious approach to supplementation. I think we can personalize it in sensible ways. But across all three of your very good questions, my answer is it depends. Does everybody need supplements? Probably not. Although there may be some that, it's really hard to do without. Again, vitamin D is a good example. Vitamin D is a hormone. It's not really a nutrient. It's only become a nutrient because we're not getting enough sun exposure to manufacture it. But really, the human body is adapted to make vitamin D. And if we're not going to get it from the sun, then we need to substitute vitamin D from food. And mostly that means fortified foods. So will you get enough vitamin D from fortified foods if you're not out in the sun making enough of it? Maybe, maybe not. But vitamin D supplementation is a pretty routine thing for people who live indoors and wear clothes and are not routinely exposed to sunlight. Probably a good idea. And there are other nutrients that fall into that category. I like algae-based omega-3. And my practice, as always, patterns my preaching. I take vitamin D. During the pandemic, I added zinc, which I hadn't been taking before. I take a probiotic. I take an algae-based omega-3. Short list of supplements I think make a lot of sense. So it depends.